So you have the biggest fight of your life coming up at the beginning of July against Robbie Lawler. Now that we as fans have had some time for the matchup to sink in, talk us through what we should be excited about and why you're excited.
Well, I mean, if you've watched Robbie Lawler fight, he brings it. He tries to take people's heads off, try to, really swing for the fences and put people away and try to finish people. And if you watch my fights, I tend to do the same thing. So I think for fans, you can count on us meeting in the middle and exchanging, and it just being an all-out war from start to finish. And whether that be, one of us gets finished, or it goes all 3 rounds, either way, it can guarantee it's going to be fireworks the whole time.
How do you feel about fighting in front of a Vegas crowd for the first time? Now you've got a few Apex fights on your record at this point, but now it's going to be the full crowd experience. Like I said, International Fight Week. How are you feeling about that?
Good. It's going to be exciting. Just fighting Matt Brown in Columbus was that. I fought in big stadiums in Brazil. When I fought Warley Alves, is 50,000 people in a soccer arena. So I don't get shook by fans. If anything, it just brings more excitement to the fight, more energy. Definitely feel it in there, and it's definitely going to make for a more solid performance. And I'm excited to put on a great performance in front of all the fans.
Also, as a general question, how do you feel right now about the state of the 170-pound division, given that you have the who's who of those names that you faced? Where do you feel the division's headed at this point?
I feel like it's kind of up in the air. Usman's obviously, he's a very dominant champ. We'll see who he fights next, Leon. And then, we've got some solid up and comers and some guys who are, constantly right there on the brink. So I think there's a lot of new faces coming up and guys who have been in the division who are now starting to make, really a run. And so we'll just see where it goes. I feel like when I win this fight, who knows, it might put me right there in the mix as well.
You fought Leon Edwards. How tough do you think he would be in a title fight?
Personally, I mean, he's tough. Obviously, he's very skilled. But I think that Usman has more weapons to put on him, or where he has, where he's skilled, Usman has a little, is just a little sharper in those places, or a little stronger, a little more dominant in those areas. So honestly, I think he'll, pose some challenges and stuff like that, but Usman is very technical and sharp, comes from a good team too. So I think they'll have a good game plan in there to go forward and get the win.
You've had the opportunity to fight some veterans your last couple bookings, Robbie, obviously Matt last time, but before that, you welcomed some guys into the octagon for their debut. Being that obviously everybody has to start somewhere, did you give that any thought during those fight weeks that, this is their first taste of the big time, and did it, inspire you to bring out the best in yourself that much more?
Really, I just look at it as like another person. When I go into fight week, I mean, when I fought Darian Weeks, I got his name for that fight. Literally, I think it was Tuesday afternoon of fight week. So, I mean, for me, going into fight week, I'm ready for anything. I'm just ready to fight. So it doesn't matter who it is. If my opponent changes last minute, if it changes the day of, it doesn't matter. I prepared. I'm ready for the fight, and I'm ready to implement my game plan on no matter who it is. So, going into newcomers, veterans, whatever, it's still the same mindset, still the same thing going in. And that's just to go out there and do my best and perform.
What sort of strategies do you have for improving from fight to fight?
Staying active really has been a key for me. I've had a lot of layoffs due to surgeries, injuries. So staying active is the key. And I feel like I'm finally starting to hit a stride here and get going and really, find myself again after coming back from injuries and everything. So it's just staying consistent. That's the most important thing, staying in there and continuing to chip away, not in just, my bad areas, but even my good areas, and continue to improve those and make them better and better.
What's your favorite part of your skill set?
I like to stand up. I like to strike, man. That's where the bread and butter is. I love to be exchanging with somebody in the pocket, at distance, in their face, and someone firing right back at me. And I think this fight with Robbie Lawler is exactly that. You know, it's a dream matchup to be able to fight him anyway, but not just because of who he is and what he's done. That's, you know, that's all swell and dandy and awesome and great for him and very impressive. But the reason I want to fight him so bad is because of how he fights. And he fights a lot like I like to fight. So hopefully it's, you know, it is what with that. Hopefully he doesn't come in and try to wrestle a bunch or whatever. Hopefully we go in there and we just, you know, let them all fly, you know, and just get after each other the whole time.
I know you announced it at the beginning of this month. There's a period of time where I know you guys aren't supposed to talk about the fights until they announce it or they say you can. How long between that announcement, or how long before that announcement had you known that you were going to fight him next?
I can't really remember. It was I don't know, maybe a couple weeks or something like that. Like it was in talks or whatever. You know, obviously it's, you know, you get the offer sometimes, and you know you say yes, and you don't, you know, really hear back for a little bit. You're waiting on a contract, and then you finally get the contract. So, you know, when you sign the contract, you know, you could think it's official too, you know, and that's the hard part too, though, is like, you don't know if the other guy said yes. I mean, Robbie Lawler, I'm assuming he said yes. And obviously he had said yes, but, you know, at times you don't know, you don't know if the other guy said yes, even though you signed a contract. So it's official, right? Well, did the other guy even sign the contract? We don't, you know, those things you don't know. So that's why you kind of wait for it to be announced and everything.
As far as your experience, talked about Vegas as your first time in front of the Vegas crowd. Have you noticed any differences in fighting in the regular octagon, which is 30 feet, versus the 25-footer in the Apex?
You know, there's just a little more room to move around. You know, obviously it's a little bigger, so it's just, you know, a little more room to move around. You got a little bit more, you know, canvas to cover before, as far as people taking shots and things like that. You know, they got a little more room to push you to the cage. So it's just a little more dancing around room in there that you got, you know, but you know, we'll use that. We'll use the in tight. It don't matter.
One of my first interviews about 10 months ago or so, one of the guys I was talking to told me that in the Apex, fights are more in your face. Given your style, I'd like to ask you, how accurate do you think that assessment is?
I think kind of, yes, because also there's, you know, it's silent in there. And now up to recently, you know, they've had some fans in there and things like that, but it's silent. So you hear, you know, your coaches and everything. And it's almost like there's this, you know, with the fans and everything, it's you know, a constant like roar and everything. And then there's bursts, and then there's kind of pullbacks and bursts, it seems like. But the Apex, it just seems like it's a constant go, because there's a constant silence, and all you hear is your coaches yelling, their coaches yelling, you know, things like that. So maybe so, I think it is. But for me, it's pretty similar as far as like with audience, without an audience, it's kind of the same deal, except occasionally, like all of the noise is pretty silent for me, even in a jam-packed arena. Just occasionally you may land a good shot and you hear a large roar or something like that. So that's just the difference, really.
Does it ever get distracting when you can hear both guys' coaches at the same time, or have you just kind of tuned a little bit of that out?
Yeah, you kind of tune it out. I mean, you definitely hear it. Sorry, there's a train going in the background. But you can definitely hear it. And there's moments where you're like, oh, okay, they said to throw this, maybe. But then you got to refocus. You know, you can't rely on what they're saying to be accurate or exactly what he's going to throw. So it's just trying to tune that out and focus on what your coaches are saying.
Do you have a timetable in mind? This is your second fight of this year. You had one last December. Do you have a timetable of how soon you want to come back after July?
You know, I'm in I think I'm in like 4 fights deep in a year's time, under a year's time. I think I had one like every 3 months or something like that for the last 4, counting this one. So I think after this fight, probably sit back a little bit, take a little break, enjoy time with my family. You know, I was planning on doing that after the Matt Brown fight, and then, you know, got the offer for Robbie Lawler soon after. So it was just like, you can't say no to that. It's a fight I've always wanted. So definitely after this fight, I'm going to take some time to be with the family.
Could you see yourself at any point in the future, be it the near future or the distant future, taking another fight at lightweight? I know you came into the UFC at lightweight for a couple fights.
Yeah, that'll definitely never happen again. That was really hard cutting that, and to get there. If anything, I'm going up. We'll go up to 85.
Is the weight cut to 70 tough on you at this point? Or you probably got it down by now, but
It's it's definitely tough. It's always tough. It's never easy. It doesn't matter if you diet well and you get to the final lower weight or whatever. It's always terrible. So we get through it. The most important thing is the recovery and feeling good after the fact. So we're getting better and better with it and everything. But I think our recovery is the biggest thing, and we're doing great at that.
Bringing it back to International Fight Week is an event, I've enjoyed it, and I've been a fan for about 18 months. This will be my second one watching. Robbie was on the last one too, was the Nick Diaz fight.
Nice.
What part about, that experience in Vegas with everybody pouring in are you most looking forward to when you're not going to be getting ready for the fight, that is?
When I'm not getting ready for the fight?
Yeah, just when you're in Vegas, maybe you have some time to experience everything.
Yeah, for me, since it's my fight week and, I'll be preparing for a fight and everything. And obviously there's preparation, but for me, fight week is, no matter International Fight Week or whatever, I treat it the same. Is I'll put all my focus into resting my body. I've worked hard all camp, has been busting my butt. And then I get to fight week, and that's where I really focus on rest and recovery and just getting, completely focused for the fight. So I spend a lot of time just laying around watching Food Network. Now, my family, if they're coming in, earlier in the week, then I'll, obviously spend time with them, but I don't spend a whole lot of time going out or being a part of any of the activities because it's all business when I'm there for business.
Do you have a favorite part about a fight camp, getting ready for a fight?
The fight. Fight camp, it's fun. I enjoy it. It's definitely a process, getting a new person to prepare for, not knowing if I'm going to be for that person the whole camp, or if, there's going to be an opponent change or whatever. But, don't think about that. Just think constantly improving. And that's the way I approach it. That's why it doesn't matter who the opponent is. Cause every day I'm working on improving myself, getting better in all areas. And so it's exciting to me, and to know that at the end of it, I'll be able to go 100% and let it all hang out. That's the best feeling.
Let's put a timetable on it. Say a year ago, you've had a lot of fights. So how would you say, in what aspect has your overall game improved the most in that year?
Everywhere, really. I mean, about a year ago, I came off like a near-death experience. So it was kind of, rebuilding back, honestly, almost reborn, if you would say. Obviously I still have, the mental skills and everything to do it. So it was just kind of rebuilding back, and it took some fights. The first fight, I lost to Witt, had a gritty third round. So, I mean, I think I'm the same person, but yeah, just more well improved, and definitely looking at the game a lot differently. Since my back surgery to my emergency surgery, a lot has changed as far as my training goes and preparing, and how I improve and the things we do to improve. So I feel like being consistent and being active this last year with the 4 fights, I've only become more and more dangerous.
With the Jason Witt fight, even though the result wasn't what you wanted, obviously, it was a haymaker type of fight like you love. Was there any reassurance after the fact, since it was your first fight after that emergency surgery, like, yeah, I can still throw down, I can still do it at the highest level?
Yeah, and I think more so for my family. It was just really, I already knew that, going into the fight, I knew I could. I tested it, beforehand, because I had to. I didn't want to go in there with the risk of knowing that, I might not walk out of there or whatever, in which there's always that risk potentially, I guess you could say. But, with the tragic injury that I had or whatever, For me, it's more important was my family and how they felt about it. And my kids were iffy about me returning and scared and everything. So the preparation was there that I needed to do to make sure that, I'll be able to survive and everything. The fact that it was a gritty performance and everything knows that, like, I was just disappointed in myself, but overall it was, a win in my eyes, because, I did return back. I did make a comeback, and, gritty performance, can't be upset with that.
Well, last question, obviously we've gone and talked about the Lawler fight, probably going to be a fan favorite fight for a long time in the future if, the expectations are even close to met. Do you have any fights on your record up until now that you would say are your favorite?
Oh yeah, the Matt Brown fight obviously is the new one. That one, the Vicente Luque fight. I mean, that's by far one of my favorite fights. And my fight with Warley Alves is definitely another favorite. But yeah, I really like the Vicente fight. He's a gamer. I'm a big fan of his as well. Especially after the fight and after the fact, he stood there, went toe to toe, and it just turned out with, seconds left that he was able to get the job done. Class act guy, and I wish nothing but the best for him. So, those are some favorite fights, and I believe that this is going to be another one for the fans, another one for myself. This is a guaranteed fireworks and guaranteed fight that, like you said, is going to be watched for a long time coming.
Well, that wraps up what I had for you. I really appreciate you coming on and being a part of this and talking with me. It's been a real pleasure to have you.
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate it. Sorry it took so long for me to get back to you and everything, but I'm glad we were able to get it in.
Oh, absolutely. You're totally fine. I'm looking forward to this fight. I'm looking forward to y'all getting that bonus 100%.
Yeah. Yeah, I appreciate it. Thanks. I think, I don't want to say it's guaranteed, but it's it's pretty much.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Oh, all bias aside. Yeah. Good luck with everything and be well, my man.
All right. Thank you very much. Have a great day.
You do the same.
Thanks.